Hello and welcome to the Faithbuilding Podcast, episode 56, with your lovely and amazing host, Vladi Kuna.
I'm Norman Gräter. Hi.
Hello. In today's episode, you will learn about the positive and the negative emotions. And who's a master in that is Vladi. Therefore, I hand it right over to you, my dear.
Oh, master. I'm just a master student, I'd say, but thank you.
At
Okay, so we
least.
did promise you to talk about 7 negative and 7 positive emotions. And I'm going to read you the 7 positive ones. And then obviously we will then discuss them together with Norman. But in your 7 positive emotions, and number one is desire, which comes with no surprise. Then it's faith. Then love. Number 4 is sex. Number 5 is enthusiasm. Number 6 is romance. And number 7 is hope. So desire, faith, love, sex, enthusiasm, romance, and hope. On the other polarity side, we have 7 negative emotions, which, with no surprise, number 1 is fear. Number 2 is jealousy. Number 3 is hatred. Number 4 is revenge. Number 5 is greed. Number 6 is superstition. And number 7 is anger. So I'll repeat them again. So it's fear, jealousy, hatred, revenge, greed, superstition, and anger. So if you focus and you point in your life where they just don't exist in your life, focus what are the moments and experiences in your life where all these positive emotions really activate and exist, but also where we need to shift the negative emotions to positive emotions is just become neutral. And this comes back to last episode 55, where Norman was talking about what's the switch. And it's the same way you switch from a negative emotion into allowing it first. You have to acknowledge it. If you don't acknowledge that emotion, okay, now I'm so angry. Why am I angry? Nobody's making you angry, by the way. Nobody's making you jealous. Nobody's making you to hate someone. Nobody's making you to be fearful. It's us who either been programmed or we, unfortunately, as we're conditioned to respond or react to certain situations with that emotions. It can be addiction, because it's our coping mechanism. So if you think about that, there are so many times where it's the emotional impact that we use certain emotions as a coping mechanism to protect ourselves. Not necessarily to hurt other people, but to protect ourselves. And it's really important to say, I actually wrote an affirmation for myself, and I can read it to you. If that helps you, that's great. I said, I'm not going to let these, and I crossed the negative 7 emotions. And I said, I'm not going to let these cause me get in bad vibration. As a matter of fact, I'm going to eliminate them from my life. But to eliminate something from your life, you first have to acknowledge that it exists. And it's really important. It's like a paradigms. We talk about the limitations and paradigms we have. I hug them. I say, oh, thank you for coming here and showing up in my life, because I've learned the lesson, but I no longer need you. Because really, remember when we talked in last episode about happiness? It really is, do you give yourself permission to be happy? Are you allowing yourself to be happy? Allow yourself for a split moment. Don't stay in there a long time, because the longer you stay in this vibration, it will roll like a snowball. Remember the avalanche? It starts a little shift of a snow and it gets bigger, and then it's unstoppable when it actually comes to its speed and fullness of power. So you want to stop it quite fast before it is just unstoppable. And so you allow this and give yourself permission to feel sad a little bit, but then understand that you don't want to stay in this state. So going back to desire is every single one of you has desires inside you. It's like this desire to live, to achieve more, to be successful, to be having the most, meet a soulmate, have the best job ever, or the best business ever, or help other people, help animals, whatever it is that you desire. But are you truly connecting to it? or you just think that, oh, this is why I would love because I was taught. Sometimes we were conditioned from the childhood to please, because we have this obviously invisible contract with our parents. And I've done the parenting a program, and it surprised me, really surprised me, when my coach, when I was working with my childhood conditioning, she said to me, well, did you know that there is only one unconditional love in the world? And I said, yeah, I know, I'm a mother. It's like your children are the only unconditional love you can actually feel. And she said, that's not true. And it took me a long time to actually find understanding in that statement, because I wouldn't agree with her. I was like, that's no way. I am a mother. I know how it feels. And there is no one I would die for, only my kids in this planet. But she said the only unconditional love that actually exists in this world is us towards our parents. This is why it's very difficult for us to break certain habits, because we feel obliged to do what pleases them. We wanted to do things that make them happy. So if we were told, oh, you're such a good girl for doing something, you're a good girl for tidying up your room, you're a good boy for doing this, we would then use and try and strive to do things that we knew that would please them and make them happy. Not necessarily make us happy. And that's how we kind of bonded. But we talk about this another time. But I wanted to blend it to emotions, because then we would use sometimes, unfortunately, negative emotions as we grow and become stronger and more independent and more in control. We choose to actually switch it to positive emotions. But most likely after the childhood, until we grew into a solid version of ourselves, or better grounded version of ourselves, it's the negative emotions that we would use as the coping mechanism and switching technique. Norman, I'll hand it to you.
I was just being reminded about communication in general, because there are several levels basically on communication when we communicate with ourselves or with different people. And we usually tend to focus on the first level, and this is the words we hear or read. But if we look a little deeper, it's never about the words. It's about an emotion that's beneath the words, because the person that replies to you or says something to you or writes to you wants to get a reaction to a certain emotion. The moment we focus on the first level, only on the words, and reply to the words, we miss the total point. Which means if you write somebody a message and he or she replies, and it's very like outstandingly different than you thought. It's like, I have to cancel our meeting today. And then you receive a message back like, you do this to me the 5th time, and you don't have to call me anymore. Usually we tend to reply to the words. Like, I don't really understand you. Last time you canceled a meeting. We try to find an argumentation or something to reply to it. But actually it's about an emotion that's beneath that. If we would trigger, because the emotion is already triggered, but if we would kind of be Sherlock Holmes and find the right emotion, this would please the other one. So instead of writing argumentations back and stories back and excuses back, just stop a moment and think, what kind of emotion can I feel in this reply? Could it be frustration? Could it be anger? Could it be fear? It could be everything. So you go through all different emotions that pop up in your mind, and you just pick the one that makes the most sense to you. And then you reply with this emotion to the person that sent you the message. Like you say, you sound very angry. And if you hit the right emotion, you will realize that by the response you get back. If you hit the wrong emotion, you will also realize that, because now the other person will explode in your face. I am not angry. You think, okay, angry is not the right emotion. So you go to the next emotion and says, you sound very frustrating in my mind and in my eyes. People want to be recognized in their emotion. And if you tend to focus more on the emotion behind it, what Vladi shared, the 7 positive or the 7 negative, and all emotions in total are so many, many more. Just try your very best to hear behind the original message. Whatever somebody throws at you, you just don't jump on it, because your ego will jump on it to defend yourself or do whatever. Just stop for a second, ask yourself, what's the true emotion that's being in place to reply with such a message? And just grant the emotion, speak out the emotion, and then talk about the emotion and what you could do to get rid, or the other one, to get rid of the fear or the anger or the angst or whatever it might be. So this popped up in addition to what Vladi just shared. And I wrote one negative emotion down, jealousy. I think jealousy is very, very common, as every one of us, or most of us, are on social media and we look at other people. And of course, we know people tend to post only the positive things and the vacations. And I spoke about that yesterday in one of my keynotes when I mentioned, if you post a picture from your vacation and people get mad, like, oh, you're so egoistic, you just want to show off what you have right now and make us mad. No, I want to share my happiness. The jealousy is on your part, and I have nothing to do with your part. And you realize, again, it's about an emotion. If somebody replies and says, I cannot watch your pictures anymore.
Yeah.
Could be jealousy, could be madness, could be whatever in between. And I told the guests on board, when people get jealous, they also had the chance to do this cruise. They just chose to not do it, to save their money for something else. Yeah, I don't have the money to invest in this cruising company. And I would again reply, you don't invest it in the cruising company, you invest it in yourself, in your own joy, because you think being at the Caribbean, in winter, brings you more joy. So the money is, of course, for the cruising company to bring you from A to B. But at the end of the day, you invest the money in you. And if others are jealous, or let's just stay with jealous, it's their choice. They could also take money, and everybody of us has money. Everybody that says, I don't have money. Yes, you do. You could sell your house. You could sell your car. You could sell your clothes. No, I don't want to do that. Yeah, and it's your choice. So it's always your choice if you choose the positive side or the negative, what Vladi shared earlier. And we just recommend you, as my blue glasses stand for, always choose the positive side whenever you can. And if you drop into jealousy sometimes, or hatred or something, just be aware of it and come out of that dark zone in an instant and as soon as you can.
I love it. I love that you're talking about, it's something I always I've said this many, many times. I have many, many emotions, but I practice jealousy the least. I think it's thanks to my upbringing, really. It's obviously I grew up in a quite strong Catholic family, so as a child I was afraid to be having any of this because I thought I would end up in the hell. So that's how it started. However, it's we grew up in a very big family. So like at 27 cousins, we would meet all the time. We would be in a grandmother's, and she would send us with her eggs to give to every single part in her little village, and then the rest of the village will bring us what they were giving, like there was the one person who would give milk because they had the cows, and then somebody would do the cheese, and I've seen this abundance, and they weren't rich. So we're talking about abundance as such, because sometimes I watch something and I feel, I won't tell you too deep about it, you can find it out and read, but I did read about the Venezuelan president, whose name I actually do not remember because I don't know, but literally look it up. A president of Venezuela who was named as, and I'm not saying it's a current one, but it's one of the presidents, who was named the poorest president on the planet. While he chose to live on a farm, look out for his, grow his vegetables and stuff, he would give away 90% of his salary, presidential salary, to people. He refused the private jet because he used that money that would have paid for the private jet to get him, obviously, to his political meetings. And he would take a normal plane, and the money he saved on a private jet, he bought a helicopter for rescuers to help people. In his presidency, he raised the unemployment 50%. He chose, and he was criticized by obviously the world, and I'm talking leaders of the world, that he's living such a poor and he's an authority and he should show up as an authority. And when I listened to that story, and it was actually video, so, you know, like it was him showing him how he drove his little Volkswagen Beetle car. And I thought, that is the true leadership. Remarkable behavior of a human who cares for others, as opposed to these egoistic driven people who are having so much money they don't even know where to invest them. And there's people who have an incredible maybe skills and life, these youngsters, and we could make geniuses, but they have lack of funds, for example, to study, to make something out of it. And or we feel like that some people have so much money, then is the polarity we were talking about with Norman. Is like when that goes away, then you realize what really are the values in the life and who really stays in your life and what are you doing. You don't want to reach the end of your life and say, oh, you know, I wish I didn't have. You're not going to take this to your grave. What are you going to take? Your investments, your funds, your money? Nothing will go with you and leave this planet. You came to this planet and to live your life. And we misunderstand the reason why we're here, because we're not here to build emporiums. Yes, we are to a certain point, and if that's what you desire, it's fine. But who are you in that process? What kind of human are you? Because people sometimes say, oh, I need more, and it becomes an addiction. And then you realize that actually, I don't need that more. It's the fear of lack. It's the fear of, oh, when I retire, where am I going to get the money? It's the fear of rejection. When Norman was talking about the social media, and this happened to me a few times. Oh, you're always somewhere. You're traveling. You're doing all this. And I thought like, well, I'm sharing my happiness the same way as Norman said, that I like showing a lifestyle because that's what I can help you with. That's what I help people with. So I'm just sharing the moments, and I'm not always dressed up. Some of the lessons, even here podcast, I was looking at some of the videos thinking, oh my God, my puffy eyes, I was really looking horrible, because we have great days, we look good, and we have days where we feel like a crap. And it's okay. What am I going to do? Delete all of those? It's about the message. And the thing is, like, we forget that we all humans. We forget that we judge people and we don't know their story. They might be going through something. I like the example, Norman, about the text, because sometimes, you know, like you receive this text, people may feel a fear of rejection. You know, like, oh, he's not seeing me 5 times. It's not about you. And the minute you realize that the other people's behavior is majority of the times has nothing to do with you whatsoever. It's the crap people have to deal with, and we all have our own coping mechanisms, and we use it, and it's not necessarily to hurt you, but you take it personally because the ego says, well, you know, she doesn't understand or he doesn't understand and this really hurt me. It's like, let it go. Because it's not about you. And the minute you realize that the things that are happening and things that people say to you, it's majority of the times, it's not about you. It's about what's happening in their life. And that's what Norman was mentioning as the underlying emotion. But sometimes, unfortunately, the anger, we get angry because that's the coping mechanism. That's what we choose to do, be angry. Superstitions. Oh my God, black cat just ran in front of my car. That's it. My day is going to be ruined. Well, you just made a committed decision that your day is going to be ruined because it's just a poor black cat. It has nothing to do with your life. And whether I can have I had so many times cats coming. I was like, poor black cat. You know, like they already come with these humans putting superstitious beliefs on them. It's just a black cat. What if white cat runs around? Are you going to say the same? No, because we don't accept this. So give yourself permission to be happy. Give yourself permission to allow the emotions. Give yourself permission to be angry for a very short period of time and switch it, because that's not who you are and that's not what you want to feed and where you want to stay. Give yourself permission to dream big, to have faith. And that's another part. We don't have faith in ourselves, in our fellow people, then how can you have faith in a system? It's about trust, and everything really is about trust. Love, we were talking about love. I mean, love is the highest frequency you can get, pure love. And sex is one of the highest frequencies you can achieve as the human being, you know. Enthusiasm speaks for itself. If you don't feel enthusiastic about things, then you're not actually putting that fuel. It's that passion that fuels that into going for the things, because you going for your goals and desires are not always easy. So you need an enthusiasm and hope. You need hope. We all need hope. And romance, I mean, that speaks for itself, right? In fact, we did record, by we, I mean me, royal we. But a long time ago on a YouTube, I did record a 5-6 minutes videos on all these negative and positive emotions. I'm not even sure it's still up, but you can look it up. It was actually through the teachings of Bob Proctor. So, you know, you can actually have a look. But really focus on what's the fear. You just, because somebody says something to you, your underlying fear of rejection. Oh, they don't like me because I said something. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean they don't like you because they say something. It's really you. So feel worthy. It doesn't matter what people think or say about you, because you are a worthwhile person. And the minute you realize this, it's just people are having bad days. Sometimes they say something they don't even mean. Do not take things personally, and your life will get so much easier. Send them love, or let that message go if you can't handle it right away. Let that emotion shake off, and then send them something positive. Send them a heart and say, well, if you need something, I'm here for you. Because you might, by this sentence, you might actually, that person might be waiting for someone to see the signal of waving a white flag of unhappiness. You know, it's really something that just be more considerate and compassionate and kinder, because we never know other people's story, and we don't. People tell us stuff, but what really goes behind, we just don't know. Norman, back to you.
I agree. And that's a little challenge. Just send everyone on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on every other channel, instead of a thumb up, if you like their article or picture, just send them a heart. On Instagram, you can only send a heart.
Yeah.
Nobody has an issue. But if you send hearts on WhatsApp, just see what happens. Like usually wherever I answer to, I send hearts and not thumbs. And I realized at one point somebody, I think from my choir, told me like, oh, that's the guy who always sends the hearts, like he was almost frustrated. Whereas, yeah, people are not used to that they get sent love, because heart stands for love. It's the highest vibration, like Vladi said. Why not send love instead of thumb up? No,
I
thumb
don't
up
like
is,
thumbs up.
yeah,
I
just
love
start
it.
sending hearts. Even on LinkedIn and other platforms, you just press a little longer on the thumb, and then a little bar gets open. You can choose the heart and see what fear comes up. If you would send someone on LinkedIn, the business platform, a heart instead of a thumb, what's the fear that comes up inside of you? Or what do they think about me? That you
Yeah.
sent them love? Yeah, what do they think? You're scared, right? Because you say, yeah, it's not business-like. Why not? Why not send everybody love?
Such a great point.
Yeah, and I was reminded about something when I was many, many years ago on Maui, Hawaii, seeing one of Wayne Dyer's last lectures. He mentioned Portia Nelson. And Portia Nelson, I just looked it up, was asked at one point to write an autobiography in 5 chapters. And they were given only small little papers so that they could not really write full-page stories. They should keep it short, how they would write about the 5 chapters of their life. And the thing she wrote is so beautiful and hits the point. Chapter 1 of my life. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2 of my life. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I still don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. It isn't my fault. It takes still a long time to get out. Chapter 3 of my life. I walk down the same street again. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. It's my fault. I know where I am. I get out immediately. Chapter 4 of my life, I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5 of my life, I walk down a different street. I really love
that.
I love that. Because if we look into it again, as long as she says it's not my fault, it's the other people. It's the frustration, the jealousy, the anger of the other people that keep me away from vibrating in the highest level that I want to vibrate in. She's stuck in the hole and she falls into the same hole again and again and again. Like she says, it's a habit. And the moment she realizes where she is and that it is her fault because she trapped or she fell into the trap, she fell into the hole. Nobody pushed her. She walked down the same street. She even saw the hole and she fell in because it's a habit. How about we start to focus on those things and realize, oh, I am at some places in my life based on a habit. And the next question would be, how can I get around the hole or even walk a different street? How about you start choosing from this moment on better emotions? Instead of the 7 negative ones that we master, all of us are masters in the 7 negative ones. How about you choose a different street, the positive ones? Do they give you as much benefit? If you don't tell people the bad stories and you lost your luggage and what happened to you and you got sick, you get a lot of attention when you tell people the bad things in your life. You get a lot of, oh, I'm so sorry. Can I do something for you? People listen to you. People feel with you. Rather than you say, it's a beautiful day. People say, no. Did you see the weather? Did you hear the news? They always find back to go back to the same 7 negative emotions. And you just say it stops right here. I choose deliberately more positive emotions. And you just see what happens in your life. And again, don't do it because you calculate and say, I can manipulate. Thank you very much. The energy by saying, if I just pretend I'm happy, but I do it because I put the seeds of happiness in the ground. No, you're still putting seeds of lack into the ground because you do it very, very organized and you say, I just do it on purpose. No, just be happy. Just listen to episode 55 again, I think it was, where we speak about that. Vibrate it, radiate, be it, be happiness, be gratefulness, be joy, be health, be money. How can I be money? Just do more of what makes you happy because people give you money for that, what you're good at. So money is just nothing special. It's just a part of somebody where you say a bargain deal would not work. Where you say the other one is a carpenter, but I don't have something in my house to get fixed, so I don't need your help. But I take your money, so it's a part of the other person. The more you help other people, the more you are yourself and you bloom and people realize and feel that you are different and special. And you're not aiming for their money, but you're aiming for their heart and want to make them a better person or support them here or there. They will give you money for it. So just be more of what you want to have. And I leave it up to Vladi to close today's call in a beautiful way.
I just thought of being on the stage and really what I remember Brian Proctor saying. He said he lost his fear the minute you take away the attention from yourself. I love that because Norman helped me. Obviously, he's a champion in the speaking. So when he helps me to be a better speaker, I know that is actually the key. You come on the stage, there is this weird feeling. It's a fear, you come there, how do I look? Am I speaking correctly? And what if I mess it up? The minute you take away the attention from yourself and you put it on the others, all this stuff disappears and you're beautiful you. Because it's when we worry about how am I going to do and am I looking good on a social media? It's all about you. But take you out of the equation and say, I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve others. I'm here to observe, to learn, to serve, because that is really the key. We're here to grow and learn and observe and serve. And there's really nothing else. This is the Queen Elizabeth who said that. Queen Elizabeth II, to be precise. So, like it really is just focus on yourself. Focus on others, but yourself to grow and how you can help others to feel better, because that will help your vibration and that will allow you to choose the better emotions. It's just practice the better emotions because you will be happier by law. Thank you for listening to us. We will see you next week. And until then, goodbye.
Bye bye.